Greetings, kindred spirits. First of all, I want to wish you a fabulous new year, regardless of the current circumstances. And I'd also like to thank you all for your support and your collaborations. It's really been a productive and creative year for me personally when it comes to my work. Emotionally, it's been another story. But, thankfully I have a fantastic support system around me, which, I'm truly grateful for. And, I know there's some of you out there that don't feel you got that. And, I just want to send all my love and blessings to you. And just know I'm there with you in spirit. But, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. So numerologically, we will be leaving a universal 4-year and we will be entering into a universal 5-year. So the 4 in numerology does represent our foundations and our stability. And we can definitely say that's been rocked for sure this year. Many have had the rug pulled from under their feet. So as the numerological 4 frequency has been rumbling beneath our feet, especially since the South Node entered into Ophiuchus in September, we will now be entering into a 5 universal year, which will be much more active and possibly more chaotic, and it will all kickstart in January. So this full moon will reach its peak in Gemini in the true lifetime sky on the 30th of December at 3:28 in the GMT time zone, at 14:28 in the AEDT time zone, and on the 29th of December at 22:28 in the EDT time zone. So as this year ends, our communications are likely to become pretty intense. Well, if it hasn't already started. Our full moon in Gemini will be hyping up our need to express ourselves. Although, we might be a bit scattered mentally and speak before we think, especially with our sun in Sagittarius. So our moon in Gemini and our sun in Sagittarius, it does represent a lot of hot air, so to speak, especially when it comes to the media or the internet in general, but also with crosswords with others, in our circles, which can be sparked through misunderstandings or a lack of clarity. And I would say watch out for getting dragged into gossip or speculation. Do your fact checking and, research as much as possible when it comes to your opinions. But other than that, I just feel it's kind of a petty energy as well going on. So our moon will also be in opposition to Mercury, and Mercury happens to be the ruling planet of Gemini. So there could be difficult conversations that are had at this time, for those that need to get things off their chest. And since our moon will be in square to Chiron, the conversation is likely to be deep and for some uncomfortable. While for others, the moon sextile to Uranus will inspire them to move on from past inhibitions or situations that have kept them stuck in a rut. So this full moon offers us a great opportunity to let go of the things that are not really good for our soul or our health. And, I mean that on a personal level, because collectively it's likely to be a different story. It's likely that there will be a lot of hype and differences of opinion, especially in the public arena. But I would make the most of these last few days of 2020, just to relax and find some quiet time, especially for those of us that are highly sensitive to our environments. So keeping a low profile really over the next few days would be a good way of just harnessing the energies that are coming in, trying to maintain balance and peace within ourselves. Because January, like I said, it's all going to kickstart in January. So before we get to January, there has been a grand cross that formed at the solar eclipse earlier in the month. And that's still ongoing. That formation will continue right up until April 2021. And the main players are the moon's nodes, Neptune, and the goddess Vesta of the sacred fire. Other players will come and go on the lead up to April. But on this particular full moon, Venus will be in conjunction to the south node in Ophiuchus. So with Venus in Ophiuchus, it's really an all or nothing energy when it comes to intimate relationships or, family relationships as well. It's either we are all in or we are all out, depending on our individual circumstances. But the question is, when it comes to our intimate relationships, are we holding on to something that is truly sacred? Or are we holding on out of possessiveness or loneliness? For some, there has been some great realizations and clarity throughout 2020 when it comes to old wounds of the past or relationships that were left hanging. So for some there could be a return of a past relationship, and for others it could be a final letting go, that letting go of any hope they may have been holding on to. So again, I would advise that we don't really rush into anything. I think just wait a day or two at least, because Venus will move out of Ophiuchus into Sagittarius, but I'll get to that in a minute. So with this grand cross and the Venus South Node conjunction, it's also possible that some will break out of, ties or relationships that have been very karmic in nature, where lessons did need to be learned, and if that's the case, then that's where Uranus' sextile to our moon can really be an inspiration for us to move forward positively and freely. So many may feel a little bit lost on their path as this year ends too, or there will be issues that arise, due to loneliness and isolation. It's definitely been one hell of a year where many have been feeling really vulnerable and out of sorts. So it is important that we stay on top of our health and keep our spirits uplifted for the moment. 2021 will be a much more active year. And like I said, it all starts in January. So Mars will enter into his own sign of Aries on the 4th of January. It will be the early hours of the morning here in the GMT time zone. So it will be the 3rd of January in the EDT time zone. Mars has been transiting through Pisces since around the middle of June this year. And his journey through Pisces is always deep and reflective. But this year he has been shadowed by the black moon Lilith. So he has also been going through the dark night of the soul, where he's had to face up to a lot when it comes to his ego blocks and his deepest fears. And I am sure all my 13 star sign Aries out there will agree that this year has been an extremely dark and deep time for them. Although with Uranus transiting through Aries, there has been a higher purpose behind, all the revelations that have been revealed. And, that's depending on your own individual journeys. And I'm talking to my 13 star sign Aries out there. But on a collective level, it has been quite a trudge where we have felt like we're wading through mud rather than water. It's like being in a dream where you're being chased but your legs won't move or can't move quick enough to escape, from the hound on our tail. So, it's been quite a time for the heart chakra, to say the least. And, Mars is a planet that already likes to run before he can walk. So I would say over the last month or so, he has been under a great deal of pressure and frustration. Like they say, the last mile is always the hardest. But, once he's back on his feet in Aries, we will all better watch out. And the squares he is making to Mercury, Saturn and Pluto on the 4th of January shows that there's a brewing of intensity, both mentally and emotionally. So when Venus moves into Sagittarius on the 5th of January, she will be actually separating from the Grand Cross formation. So the heavy weight that she's been emitting will calm a lot, where she will leave her micromanaging ways behind her, freeing those who have felt burdened under her rule. Now she will spark clear decisions about her desires, which are likely to be more adventurous now she is transiting through Sagittarius. She will still be in trine to Mars, so we must make sure that we maintain our sense of self-responsibility whilst we're breaking free. Mars will come into a conjunction with Uranus in his own sign of Aries on the 20th of Jan at 2000 hours in the GMT time zone. So it will be on the 21st of Jan in the AEDT time zone. And the last time Mars came into a conjunction with Uranus in his own sign was at 0 degrees back in February 2019. And this time they will meet at 8 degrees. And both will be in conjunction with the Black Moon Lilith and our Moon. So this will be a powerful conjunction that will be ongoing for a few days until the Moon transits over them and moves into the sign of Taurus, which will be on the 22nd. The Black Moon Lilith will continue to be in conjunction right up until the 25th of January. So even though they will be separating, they will still all be in conjunction. So it's likely to be a chaotic time, maybe even leading up to that. And this particular conjunction can be very competitive and in some cases very corrupt. So there will be a lot going on at this time for sure. And I feel that there will be a lot of restlessness and agitation, as things do not run smoothly or as quickly as some would like. And I would definitely say to expect the unexpected, as emotions will be highly charged during this time. A sense of injustice may be a theme or at the core. But however it plays out, it will be our spiritual and humanitarian values that impels us to respond or react with force. And that doesn't necessarily mean in a destructive way, although there will be an element of that too. But in all, I think, we may even surprise ourselves with the strong surge coming in to defend and protect those we love. So whatever it is that occurs, I just feel, it's going to be an uproar, or it's a very big energy. I am very electrically charged as well. So, if Uranus wasn't involved, I would be worried, but because Uranus is involved, I really do feel that there's going to be some spark of higher consciousness. So it's going to be an active time, put it that way, especially in a 5 universal year. So, kindred, we must keep the faith and stay in our self-power. Sending you all peace and much love.